Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Rapid Subconscious Reprogramming. Today, we're going to be talking about turning healthy habits into addictions. And something I want to really emphasize on this conversation is that this is not something you're going to find normally in books around this. This is not psychological advice. It's normally what people talk about addictions. Addiction is something different. But in my personal opinion, I want to share with you guys what I have found studying this for now 14 years, working with a lot of people around the world on what's going on today. So this is my personal opinion on this matter. Just want to put that out there before we started. So this is something pretty strong to say, turning healthy habits into quote unquote addiction. That's why I put the quotes there, because again, it's not from a book, but it is important to start realizing this. So in my personal opinion, what I've seen is that whatever we do to keep us away from feeling the pain could be an addiction. Okay, so what does that mean? What I've seen, of course, and what a lot of people talk about is, drugs as an addiction. People are looking for temporary relief, right? And normally it is an addiction when it causes harm as we're doing that. But if I'm feeling sad and I consume food, it is also kind of an addiction that we're used to, a little bit lower than drugs. But another thing that I've seen over and over again is people going into running, people going into doing yoga, doing meditation, even doing personal development as a way of escape. What does that mean? That we have today out there so many big gurus, big names that are teaching this, what I call fake positivity, fake gratitude, fake forgiveness. What does that mean? That people are telling you that you gotta forgive, that you gotta be positive, that you gotta, all of these things that are in a way pushing you to try to change your state from where you are. Is anybody experiencing that they cannot barely hear me? Just in case, Alexa says that she can barely hear me. Is that for everyone? It's just her? No? Can you hear me? Type a yes in the chat if it's good for me. Okay, so Alexa, maybe something with your volume that you got to pump up to be able to listen this better, okay? So going back to this, if I'm feeling pain and I go out and run to try to feel better, although running is good, that's why it's not an addiction, of course, it is good. What you're doing is, in a way, trying to numb the pain. So if you're trying to numb the pain, that's why I put it, quote unquote, addictions, is because you're not actually dealing with the pain within you. And if there is some type of pain within you, the idea is to address it. And I'm not saying it's easy, of course, and that's why, we fall into this fake positivity, fake forgiveness, fake gratitude, where I try to use that to cover my negatives. Instead, and look at this, guys, if I have an infected finger and I try to start thinking positive or looking another way to deal with that negativity, right? With that infection, am I really dealing with infection? Yeah. Okay, Alexa, thank you. Now that you joined, is working perfectly. So again, if I have an infection, guys, listen to this again, and I try to look another way so that it doesn't bother me, am I fixing the problem? Yes or no? So if I wouldn't try to walk away from an infection, I need to deal with it. I need to, maybe, disinfect, take some medication, whatever it is that I think I might need to do. Walking away from it, ignoring it, pretending it's not there, it's not gonna it's not gonna really solve the problem. So what I'm bringing here, the mind is the same. If there is a part of you that is feeling negative, instead of denying it, I need to embrace it. I need to love it. I need to understand it. Because if not, what I'm going to do, people, is I'm going to fall again into all this fakeness that I'm talking about, fake positivity, fake gratitude, fake forgiveness, that I need to force myself to forgive somebody. No, if I don't want to forgive them, don't force yourself to forgive. Try to understand, why is it that you cannot forgive somebody? If you're feeling negative, instead of forcing yourself to feel positive, try to understand why you feel negative. I was talking to a woman that she was telling me, like, Tommy, if I have had in my past experiences that I wasn't able to do stuff, I feel low confident because I think that I'm not going to be able to do it. And I told her, so you have valid reasons to feel negative around doing something because you have failed in the past. The problem, and this is so important to understand, I have a partial truth. Listen to that word again. I have a partial truth. What is a partial truth? I know it sounds weird. We can also call that a negative belief. A partial truth, and I like it more than addressing as a negative belief. This woman might have a partial truth that she's not able to make it to do something because she has failed in the past. But that, as we all know, if I have failed something in the past, is it going to always be like that in the future? If I keep practicing, I don't know, putting a ball in a hoop, right, at basketball, hitting a 3-score, right? If I have failed in the past, doesn't mean that I'm always going to fail. No, if I practice and practice and practice, I might eventually be able to hit, a 3 in basketball, right? So does it mean that that's true, that I'm never going to make it? No, the partial truth is that I have failed in the past. And for my mind, it starts thinking as a protective mechanism, don't try it, Tommy, because I'm pretty sure that I'm sure that you're not going to make it. That is a partial truth. A higher truth or a more, complete truth would be, okay, I missed in the past, but that doesn't mean that I'm always going to miss each time I try. Isn't that right? Yes or no, people? Type a yes or no in the chat if that makes sense. If I failed in the past, doesn't mean that I'm always going to fail in the future. Yes or no? The truth is no. That doesn't mean it's going to be like that. But for the mind that is trying to protect me, it starts thinking the worst case scenario to try to protect me. So it's going to try to keep me from doing that, doing it, because if I don't do it, I'm going to feel like crap. I'm going to confirm, quote unquote, that I'm a failure. So the mind is going to keep me away from that. So going back to turning healthy habits into addictions, in my experience, addictions, quote unquote, is that whenever we're doing something to move away from the pain, it means actually that we are doing the wrong things. And this, I know, go against what most people out there are teaching around personal development, self-development, growth, and all this. But if there are parts of me that are playing against me, I need to deal with them. I don't need to get rid of them with running, meditation, personal development, positivity, or whatever it is. This is why most people out there are still stuck, even though they have been trying, personal development for years. The other day, a woman that I posted here, you can look down at a couple of posts, Natalie, right? She had been struggling over and over along her life. She has been in personal development for 20 years, but she was trying to deny the negatives, to move past the negatives, to run over them, ignore them, repress them, whatever. For the first time, she tried embracing the negatives, loving that part of her that was feeling negative. And look at her testimonial. After 20 years, she finally discovered the answer that she was looking for. And I've heard this from many people out there that I work with, people that have invested thousands and thousands of dollars of personal development, people that have tried different things for years and nothing seemed to work with them. When we start embracing, loving, and accepting what is that part of us that is feeling pain, that is procrastinating, that is having maybe a bigger addiction, maybe smoking, drinking, drugs, whatever it is, whenever we're able to start loving that part of us and understand that that part of us is in pain and needs to be listened, needs to be addressed, that's when things start, we're putting ourselves up for success. Whatever other thing except loving and accepting that we do, it is setting ourselves up for failure. If I try positivity, fake positivity, where I try to change my state by thinking positive, when I try to change my state out of fear, the Dickinson method, thinking the worst case scenario that could happen in my life to try to change, that is fake. Thinking gratitude, whenever I feel negative, try to think positive, try to think, good stuff, that the good things that are happening in my life. If I wouldn't do that to my child, if my child comes to me and says that he's sad, that he feels that I'm not paying attention to him, right? That's why he feels sad. I wouldn't try to deny it. I wouldn't say, oh, that's not true. Look at all the good stuff. No, I would try to address the negatives. Why do you do that to others? And why are we being taught not to do it to ourselves? That is the biggest lie in personal development, people, where they're teaching you not to deal with your negatives. When somebody is feeling negative, the best thing to do, the most loving thing to do, is to try to hug them, give them a hug, and try to support them through the negatives, to help them get out of it, but not by forcing themselves to get out of it. Type a 10 in the chat if this is making sense. Type a 10 in the chat if this is making sense, people. Please let me know if this is making sense. Thank you. The 10s are coming in. There you go. Have you ever tried fake positivity, fake, gratitude, or fake forgiveness, where you force yourself to try to forgive somebody, where you force yourself to try to think positive, when you force yourself to try to feel gratitude? Have you ever fallen into that? Type a yes in the chat if you have tried that in the past. Yes, yes, and yes, there we go. Thank you, guys. Yes, 10's coming in. Yes, coming in. There you go. So has it worked in the past? How did you feel it worked in the past when you try to force yourself to feel positive, to feel gratitude, to forgive somebody? When you force yourself, did it work for you? Yes or no now? Put it down there. Did you feel okay when you were doing that? Did you feel happy when you were doing that? Normally, we are denying a part of us. When we are denying a part of us, it makes it more difficult to feel good about ourselves. So what I'm bringing here, there you go, Alexa. It helped for the moment, for a moment, there we go. But then I started feeling like crap again because I didn't actually deal with the negative the right way. So again, instead of trying to use something, meditation, to try to feel good, going to the gym, try to feel good. So I talk to a lot of people and people tell me, but Tommy, going to the gym is good. I like going to the gym. That's good. Don't get me wrong. But I ask you this, imagine Karen. Karen, if you don't go to the gym for a week, how are you going to feel? If Karen is somebody that likes to go to the gym every day, every other day, whatever, 5 days a week, 3 days a week, the answer they get all the time from these people that are using, quote unquote, these type of things as addictions, quote unquote, is that when I ask them, what if you stop meditation? Oh, I'm going to feel like crap. Why are you going to feel like crap? Oh, because, that keeps me happy. That keeps me connected. So it means that you need to do something to try to cover the weirdness, the negativity, the sadness within you. If you need to go run whenever you feel sad, you're not really dealing with the sadness. You're just covering it up with something that makes you feel good. So that's why, again, quote unquote, addictions. Addictions are things that people do to try to feel some type of compensation. That, of course, it has some negative on them. But the truth, if I go run, it in a way creates more disconnect from that part of me that is feeling pain. There's a bigger disconnect. So it's still negative. That's why I'm talking about my own experience, my own way of naming addictions, because according to psychologists, according to the medical society, this is not true, what I'm saying, because addiction will be something that does something bad to you. But if I use meditation, right, to try to feel good whenever I'm feeling negative and I don't deal with the negativity, it still has a negative impact on you. So it's important to realize these things so that, again, we can stop disconnecting. It's all about connection, not disconnect. As we say that social media many times disconnects us from the environment, we look in there, right, and it's starting to be, of course, called an addiction. The same way I believe it's my personal opinion that going on a diet, going to the gym, meditation, personal development, many of the things that people are doing out there that seem healthy are not being healthy because they are used to disconnect, to cover the pain, to numb the pain, and it has negative effects in the medium or long run. So I would recommend you start checking the things that you're doing, because they have negative impacts, even though it might seem that dieting, eating healthier seems that it's okay, or doing personal development seems it's okay. But if it's bringing more pain within that you might not be aware of, that it may creating more separation, more disconnect within, you're not dealing with the negatives, it is still something negative for you. And that's where I call it an addiction. So healthy things can be used as quote unquote addictions, according to Tommy, right? When it has a negative impact on you, because not dealing with the negatives is wrong. The same way I would deal with a broken bone, I would deal with an infection in my finger. I might have an infection in my brain, a negative belief, a partial truth that needs to be dealt with. And this is what I recommend, to stop trying this fake positivity, stop trying this fake, gratitude, stop this fake forgiveness, and start dealing with the things the right way. If I feel negative, deal with the negative. So I hope this makes sense. I hope this really helps. This you're not going to find in any book, encyclopedia about addiction. You're not going to find it in the internet as addiction as I represented. But you'll realize that as we continue as society discovering more, doing more research, people are going to start calling out that addictions, that whenever you move away from the pain and it can have a negative impact on you, can still be an addiction. So running could still be an addiction. Going to the gym often could be an addiction. Whatever it is that you're doing to try to move away from the pain could be named as an addiction. So I hope this makes sense. I hope this helped, guys, to help you out with this, because again, moving away from the pain is not going to solve the problem deep down. It's just going to bring a temporary relief. And as I normally say, it's like pumping air into a broken tire. Instead of patching up the tire, you're pumping air to go a little bit further. So you're going to stop every X amount of time or kilometers or miles to fill up, that tire again to try to keep going. Instead, I want to share with you how to start patching up that tire so that eventually the air you put into it stays in there. And it's not something that you keep solving all the time. So again, I hope that makes sense. If you're watching on social media, #live, that would be great. #replay, if you're watching replay. I hope this really helps. I want to bring another way on how to see the mind. I've been studying the mind for 14 years, and I'm trying to make this the simplest form possible so people can understand and can start making changes. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoy this. I'm going to finish now the Facebook Live. And again, I hope it really helped. Take care and have a great day, guys. Bye.